On Energy Timelines, we bring intelligent conversations and interesting personalities discussing critical issues that shape the industry, even the economy of Nigeria. Join us every weekday on Energy Day TV. Hello and welcome to Energy Timelines. On the program, we update you on the happenings in the oil and gas sector, the extractive sector, as well as the power sector. My name is Monique Agbe. Today on the program, we will be talking with Kola Adesina, the Group Managing Director of SAHARA Power Group. He is a consummate entrepreneur, a director at the SAHARA Group, a leading international energy and infrastructure conglomerate with operations in over 38 countries across the globe. With me is Kola Adesina, the Group Managing Director of SAHARA Power Group. Welcome, sir. Can we please meet you?
Well, each time I'm asked a question like this, I smile. My name is Kola Adesina. That's why I'm nothing more than that. That's it. I'm Kola Adesina, GMD SAHARA Power Group, the chairman of Ikeja Electric, a director in Egmi Power PLC, director in First Independent Power, and a director in SAHARA Group itself. So that's me. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I went to University of Lagos. Studied insurance first degree, did masters in management, did masters in international law and diplomacy. Went to Wharton School to do advanced management program as well. And that's it. That's where I am.
As a consummate entrepreneur with experience that traverses the academia, finance, energy, trade, and diplomacy, how has these influenced your investment decisions in the energy sector?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, people say the experience is the best teacher in life. So the years of accumulated experience I've acquired appears to have been very relevant in putting together a framework that works. There's a saying that theory is different from practice. So in school, quite a number of fundamental theories were told and principles. We needed to convert them into practice. Of course, the real life has a different coloration to some of the theories. So it's now for a shrewd businessman to be able to break it down and make it work. So thankfully, I've been able to create that after a while. Systems produce results. People produce results. In creating a system or a framework that works is equally a very challenging exercise. So you're bringing different people from different backgrounds together for the purpose of creating value and achieving the vision of the enterprise is equally another very critical challenge, that I've been able to overcome. But essentially, I must confess, it's been life transforming, bringing together the accumulation of knowledge and experience I've acquired to the table to bear for the purpose of achieving the successes we've recorded so far.
We realize that SAHARA Group has invested in energy power, oil and gas infrastructure conglomerate with operations in over 38 countries across Africa, Asia, Middle East, and Europe. So how sustainable is this investment amid global energy transitions?
For every human history, there is a phase of development. Just like you have the different revolutions around the world, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and now the fifth industrial revolution. So every epoch had a reason, and it's always developmental in nature. It's always about growth, it's about creativity, it's about innovation, new ideas, and the rest of them. We as human beings, we live in an experimental society. We're permanently glued to finding new ways of doing things, cheaper way of doing things, more qualitative way of doing things, and the rest of them. So essentially our investment is reflective of the human history and human development in terms of progress that has been made so far. Part of the most critical foundational development that took place in human history is electricity, the discovery of electricity. It came to fore the fact that of all the things that mankind was able to put together, electricity has been the most life-transforming of the lot. Without it, nothing can happen. You can't fly a plane, you can't move most vehicles, locomotives are dead, they won't move. It's energy that drives all of them. So we chose as an organization, as a people, to bring energy to life in that space. If you look at the map of Africa, part of what you're going to see is the fact that half of Africa is in the dark, primarily because of lack of electricity. So essentially, we realize that investing in needs, areas of needs, are things that would really ennoble humanity and make Africa become a leading continent amongst the continents of choice in the world. So something that is lacking is an area that naturally investors will look for. So we still lack electricity, and we've chosen to be in that space. Oil and gas is more for the purpose of, for me, capital accumulation, because in terms of, again, vehicular movement, you require fuel to be able to move your vehicle around, so it's a need as well. So we've chosen to be in that space for the purpose of ensuring that transportation is made easily possible for mankind. So as an organization, we've made that decision as well. And like you said, energy transition, ultimately, it's something that will define the next century more than any other thing, apart from robotics, the algorithms, the virtual and augmented reality that will drive and shape the destiny of mankind in the future. I think energy transition with regards to renewable, most especially, is something that would shape the way we behave. So we are equally investing in that space today, and you're going to hear more about that shortly from us as an organization.
So, Mr. Kola, it's been about 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, of managing Egbin and Ikeja Discos, right? So how has this journey been? And if I will ask, what is the plan for the Egbin expansion phase 2 investment takeoff?
Okay, 8 years of learning, unlearning, and relearning. You know, before we took over the asset, we had a different view of the state of the infrastructure. Upon taking over the asset, reality dawned on us that things are far worse than they were made to seem to be at the time of the advert and the acquisition process. So it became a case of, okay, what do you now do? Do you soon go back to Egypt, or you move forward to the promised land? So as an organization, we chose to move, you know, in spite of the reality we're faced with. Now, of course, the electricity situation in Nigeria is one where one would really, for want of a better word to use, would call it primitive, in every sense possible, just as one of my colleagues will put it. Primitive to the extent that when you look at when the hydros were built and when even Egbin itself was built, you realize that after Egbin was built as a power plant, no new power plant was built in Nigeria. Every other plant were old in the 50s and the 60s, and the last one was Egbin power plant. Before eventually we now had Azura that came on board, and some of the other newer plants from NIPP, which government again now felt, look, if we don't invest in that space, we're not going to develop at the pace and the rate we want to, we desire to. So Egbin power plant, at the point in time when we took over the asset, it was generating about 400 megawatts. So what have we done with it? We took it at a point in time to 1,100 megawatts. As a matter of fact, we're on the verge of delivering the full value of 1,320, but for the fact that we didn't have gas. 1, 2, transmission was a challenge. Again, back to the primitive state of the asset itself, very dilapidated, older than you can think because of lack of maintenance and all the rest of them. So that impaired our ability to do more investment because for you to rehabilitate a turbine, bring it back to life, the significant resources required can only at best be imagined. And you now put such a resource to use, and the asset is not evacuating power, then there is a problem. So, of course, again, we had to contend with the issue of payment for the energy we've received. We had to contend with the fact that there was lack of apathy on the part of the consumers. We had to deal with cultural and value system issues around the fact that a lot of people want to use electricity and not pay. So we have so many free riders in the system. As a matter of fact, one of the very funny things I see is the fact that majority of the free riders that are knowledgeable are the most ardent critic of the power sector failure in Nigeria. Now, when you put the whole thing together, commercial viability of an enterprise is dependent on the price of the commodity itself. If the price of the commodity is consistent with the cost, then you don't have a problem of viability. You would have answered that question positively. But once the cost is higher than the price, then you have a major issue on your hand. So of course, we're still faced with that situation till today as an organization. Now, part of the other thing that I need to quickly mention so that I can wrap up that particular question is the fact that whereas we had a seemingly stagnant power sector development in terms of infrastructure, the population wasn't stagnant. The population was and is still growing. And of course, it simply means that the infrastructure of hold that were built in different locations in Lagos were meant to cater, in Nigeria, were meant to cater for specific individual number of people in different locations. But that population ballooned and the infrastructure did not in any way move. There was no movement in the needle of infrastructure development. So, of course, it means more people hold infrastructure. So the more the people, the highly likely your transformers will blow, the lines won't be able to carry the energy being pushed, and the demand cannot be met by the people. Now, when you put all that together with a price insensitive reality, we had to contend with them. The story of the last 8 years becomes clearer. We've had a situation of policy somersaults for years. Thankfully, lately, there is stability that seems to be appearing. The mindset has changed from the mindset of abuse and mindset of condemnation to that of understanding. Because like I usually would say, the best place to play football is in the sitting room, the comfort of your sitting room. When they take you to the field, it's a different ball game. Even if they ask you to play novelty match, that's when you know that that ball you're asking Ronaldo to score, you cannot even score it yourself if you're placed in that situation. So there's a bit of understanding now. Mindset is shifting. I think by and large, priorities are shifting as well. Government is beginning to realize that for us to really achieve the kind of targets we've set for ourselves as a nation, there is a need to support the electricity space significantly. And government is doing that, I must say. I think I need to commend government. In terms of payment for the old debt that they're owing, they're beginning to pay a huge chunk of that debt. So, and this is the first of its kind, I must confess, that the kind of money and resources they are making available to pay for the old debt is coming to light. Invariably, from a positive side, there is sanctity of contract. Government is now beginning to respect the fact that, look, these assets were not sold free of charge. We paid for these assets. Two, it's not that we're incompetent. We're actually competent, but we have quite a number of extraneous factors to deal with, and those factors were not put into consideration at the outset of the privatization agenda itself. So there is a recalibration move which is ongoing, and I will say without a doubt, all the players are going to make it happen for Nigeria. We will have that light we seek to see.
So So how has growing the Egbin as the largest privately owned power distribution business in Sub-Saharan, Africa, and talking about the largest thermal plant in the region with 1,320 megawatts installed capacity, providing a quarter of the total generating capacity in Nigeria from 300 megawatts, an abysmal 22% in 2013 to 89%. How has that been?
Yeah, just like I said, when we took over, we realized that the assets were underperforming. So all the turbines were not in their best of shape. We realized that most of the facilities were old, they are archaic. So there was a need for us to quickly rehabilitate the assets. We started a new maintenance regime, which led to the overhauling of the machines itself. So we've had a better system improvement in terms of the asset itself. So the massive investment has yielded great fruit in terms of the output that you're seeing, which is what your message, that the question is a testament of what we've done in the last couple of years. It's about investment. And it's about discipline, it's about understanding, it's about finding ways of ensuring that we meet the critical quotient of reliability and availability of the plant. So those are the things we've done. We've invested in technology in terms of the control systems at the plant. We've invested massively in people in terms of training and bringing them up to speed in terms of the global best practices, in terms of behavior, in terms of attitude. Operational excellence has been a major area of improvement, and it's a journey really. We're still going on and on doing some of the things we want to do. In terms of doubling the capacity, we would have done that 4 years ago. The plan was that the fourth year we will be commissioning the first new turbine. We had different phases that we contemplated at the outset. But again, when you are faced with the myriad of a problem of lack of payment, I don't think any reasonable and smart investor will put additional resources into a business that is not yielding the returns in any way or form. We're not even being paid for services rendered. So that hampered and stunted the EGMI 2 agenda. But like I said, just my closing remark in the earlier question, things are getting better now. So hopefully we'll be able to restart the conversation around EGMI 2 sooner than later.
Amidst the government's policy somersault and anti-investment variables, what gave you the confidence that investing more in the sector characterized by obsolete assets and poor orientation would yield results?
It's so simple for us. In Sahara, the thing with us is that individual lives will end. Times and seasons will change, but the light of hope must never be extinguished. Until we get into that stage where we truly become hopeful enough of the vision and the future we desire to see, we're not going to make it happen. And making it happen is in doing, which is one of the critical templates I've offered in terms of getting Nigeria to the future of our dream implementation. Apart from mindset, for me, it's priority, and then the last one is implementation. So you cannot just sit in your room and be dreaming of changing your situation, your circumstance, your environment, your country, your continent by just dreaming, no, or talking about it. No, you have to do. It is in doing that you make it happen. So we needed to invest in that, and thankfully it's yielding fruit. Just as I oftentimes will say to my mentees, when God was forming the world, there was nothing. He created something out of nothing. He said, let there be, and there was. So we as human beings, if truly we're created in his image, we should be a replica of him, and that's why we equally must be transformational in nature, by ensuring that we take anything that we see and make it better. So it's more of an infusion within us, a belief system, a passion that is a bit not so natural. We're uncommonly patriotic. We believe the black race is a superior race. We believe that human development has been built on the foundation created by black empowerment more than any other thing. The blacks made the best things happen. Mathematics came from Africa. Geometry came from Africa. All those basic foundational theories and principles evolved from Africa. So we're not as dark or ignorant as the world would want to make us believe. So there's a need to change that narrative, and that's essentially what we're doing in Sahara.
What is the future of Egbin Power PLC? Is there any plan to invest in renewable?
Yeah, it's not just Egbin. Egbin is just an anchor company amongst many companies. We have SAHARA Power Group, which is the main anchor company actually of all the power assets we have. So it's not just Egbin. We are investing as Sahara, as an organization in renewable. We're investing massively in that space. One of the things God did for us is the freedom with regards to electricity through solar. Sun is the most fundamental feedstock, and it's the feedstock we're not utilizing properly yet. Humanity generally, when underutilizing the sun. So that's something you are going to hear more. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to unfold our agenda and plan for renewable. So you'll be seeing more of that. But then we need for us to face it. For us, it's not something that we're going to rush the same way the world is rushing. We are at different phases in terms of the carbonization, the decarbonization of the world. Africa is the lowest in terms of production of carbon emission. So I don't see the reason why Africa should not be the one to carry the burden of decarbonization as if we're the one that created it. Let those that created it deal with it first. Now, in our own ranking as an organization, our own view is for us to fully utilize the gas we have rapidly for the development of our own country and continent, and then we will be transiting side by side in the energy space using renewable solution. Part of what we're doing is that investment in the technology that will decarbonize our assets. We're doing that so that we begin to reduce carbon emission from the plant itself and some of the other facilities we have. We have an intentional strategy in that space. So you're going to be seeing more, not just hearing of such development. I'm sure you were at Egbin recently where we had a transport, the bogies that we had to launch. It's for people to be able to move around easily without their vehicles, the smoke and all sorts coming from their vehicles. So we felt and we still feel that is something that we must push, and you will see more of that, about that. We're going to double the capacity of Egbin, not just double it, we're going to triple it in the future, depending on the commercial viability of the enterprise.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I hope you enjoyed every conversation we had with Mr. Kola Adesina, the Group Managing Director of SAHARA Power Group. Don't forget, join us again, same time, same station on Energy Day TV. You can as well follow up on our social media platforms showing on your screen. My name still remains Monique Agbe.